Hi everybody, we're going to continue reading Who Let the Gods Out. I actually have a copy of it now, so no more reading off a screen. I'm also sorry how the video went a bit weird. There was a bit of a technical glitch and it ended in a weird spot. So we need to finish chapter 8 and then we're going to jump straight into chapter 9. If you remember, chapter 8 was all about Patricia Porceley Plum and Josie, Elliot's mum. Patricia is their neighbour, and she really wants Home Farm. She seems like quite a rich lady, but not a kind lady, and she'll do anything to get what she wants. And unfortunately, she wants Home Farm. So we're going to see what she's going to do. We're going to jump into chapter 8 again, and then jump straight over into chapter 9. Poking her sizable nose around the corner once more, she picked up the letter by its corner and began to read. Patricia Porceley's shriveled heart danced a tango, and she scanned the threatening letter to Elliot and Josie's beloved home. She held the letter from Easy Dosh like most people hold a winning lottery ticket. A lazy mother and an idiot child couldn't possibly find £25,000 by next Friday, but nor could Patricia allow Home Farm to fall into somebody else's hands once those tiresome hoopers had been thrown out onto the street and the farm then repossessed. Home Farm was going to be hers, no matter what. Putting the letter back where she found it, Patricia skipped around the unmentionable, the toilet, took a deep breath and flushed it with her hand inside her sleeve. She then made a mental note that the blouse would have to be burnt when she got home, but her trip had been worth it. Now, Josie would have no choice to sell Home Farm, and actually for a fraction of the price. She swaggered back into the kitchen with a smile that could carve an ice sculpture. But Josie wasn't there. Patricia peered out of the open back door to see Elliot's mum in the vegetable garden pulling out the weeds. Muffin tops, your tea is getting cold, Patricia trilled. Josie looked up from her work and smiled warmly at her neighbour and rose to her feet while brushing off the soil from her dressing gown. "Oh, hello, Mrs. Porceley Plum. How nice of you to drop round. Would you like some tea?" Patricia leant against the door frame and the penny finally dropped. Josie Hooper wasn't being lazy or stupid or slow. She was seriously unwell. This usually bright young woman had the mind of an old lady. So that's why Elliot had been keeping her tucked away all this time. Patricia realised that she was dealing with someone who wasn't capable of making any judgments of her own. Josie now needed an adolescent boy to take care of her, to make important decisions for her, and to keep her safe from harm. The woman was utterly defenceless. There was no way Patricia was going to buy Home Farm for a bargain price now. It would be much cheaper to steal it. "A cup of tea would be lovely, sweetie pie," said Patricia with a smile that almost reached both of her eyes. "And then after that, I thought the two of us might have a little outing." So that's the end of chapter 8. I wonder where they'll go. Maybe we'll find out in chapter 9. Chapter 9, The Bad Counsel. Maybe we're going to head back to Elysium. I'm not sure. We'll find out. Elliot had always dreamt of flying in an aeroplane. As his family couldn't afford a holiday abroad, he had wondered what it would be like to view the world from thousands of meters up in the air. But after 5 minutes of flying by Constellation, Elliot swore his feet would never leave the ground again. Maybe he found it a bit too scary. Because remember, Virgo grabbed Elliot and they flew away from Thanatos because he's escaped now. He knew Virgo had saved his life, but now Elliot was worried he was in danger of losing it again, and his body spun wildly, climbing ever higher in the blinding glare of Virgo's constellation. He felt like a sock in a tumble dryer. A sock that was about to throw up his breakfast. Just as Elliot lost all sense of which end was up and which end was down, his flight came to an abrupt halt. "What are you trying to do?" he began before being dumped in a pile of surprisingly firm cloud as Virgo's constellation flowed elegantly down to reform into her physical self. "Ow! You didn't have to drop me." "You're lucky I didn't drop you halfway across the Aegean Sea," said Virgo, running her fingers through her long silver hair. "You're heavier than you look, you know. And you're welcome, by the way." You too, replied Elliot, trying dizzyingly to stand. Where are we? This is Elysium, Virgo announced grandly. Welcome to my home. That explains why they landed on a cloud. His vision still a little blurred from the flight, Elliot took a moment to adjust to the sunlit scene. But when he did, he saw that he was in the most perfect and beautiful place. The bright sunshine beamed down on the cloud meadows in which they stood, which was filled with fruit trees straining under laden branches. In the distance one way, Elliot could make out a flawless glass pyramid that sparkled on the horizon like a huge diamond. In the other direction, a river babbled along the edge of the clouds, dropping into a waterfall that shimmered with reflected rainbow light. "Oh, wow," whispered Elliot as he took in the paradise that lay before him. "So, there really are other worlds." Elliot found this thought strangely comforting. "I'd better get to the council chamber," said Virgo, gesturing to the giant pyramid. "They need to know what you did." "What I did?" Elliot exclaimed. "I saved your stupid shiny head, which wouldn't have been in danger in the first place if you didn't set the prisoner free." "I told you not to," replied Virgo. Elliot knew there was an excellent answer to that point. He just didn't have it right then and there. "Stay here," Virgo commanded. "You can't tell me what to do," said Elliot defiantly. "No mortal has ever been to Elysium," said Virgo. "I need to handle this delicate situation with my expert diplomacy. So stay here, or I'll pick you up in my constellation and drop you on your curiously stubborn head." "What will they do?" Elliot conceded. "Something brilliant," Virgo said breezily. "The Zodiac Council has been supporting the immortal community for over 2,000 years. This thing probably happens all the time. They'll have a contingency plan. It'll all be perfectly fine. I just know it." Contingency plan is like a backup plan in case anything goes wrong. "You did what?" Pisces shrieked over all the commotion in the chamber of the Zodiac Council. "Well, it was all a bit of an accident," Virgo began, every eye in the room making her feel only 600 years old. You see, Elliot wasn't supposed to be in the prison. "You weren't supposed to be in the prison," snapped Cancer. "You were supposed to be ordering paper clips." "I know, but..." Virgo couldn't quite find the words at this point. She was finding it unusually difficult to make herself sound completely right. And we know she was always right. This wasn't to go as perfectly as she had hoped. "You are a young, inexperienced counsellor," yelled Ares, his curled horns unfurling in fury. "In one day, you've disobeyed express orders not to visit Earth, released Prisoner 42, and missed the final stationary order deadline this month. Please, 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 explain yourself." As Virgo tried to justify what had happened since she'd left Elysium, she spotted Elliot sneaking into the chamber and hiding behind a marble pillar. She had told him to wait outside. Was the mortal child incapable of following any rules? "Whatever happened," she started uncertainly, "I felt that it was the most sensible course of action to return here immediately and file a full report. I used my initiative." "It's a shame you didn't use your brain," shouted Scorpio, accidentally squashing a banana into Leo's eye with his pincers. "Well, there's only one thing for it, Pisces. We have to follow the protocol." There was a long pause as the council silently approved this decision. "Deny all knowledge," shouted Aquarius, raising his jug in the air to salute. "Precisely," agreed Pisces. "Our official line is that we know nothing of Prisoner 42 or his escape." "Excellent," said Libra, weighing 2 muffins on her scales. "And I table the motion that we deny anything about anything." "Seconded," said Sagittarius, firing a pencil at a dartboard. "This council knows absolutely nothing." "Agreed," roared Leo. "After all, we have a reputation to uphold on this council." "Sounds like an excellent course of action," said Virgo, relieved that the situation was now back under control. "I'm sure it's of no consequence anyway. After all, how can this How dangerous can this Thanatos be? The air was sucked out of the chamber as the councillors all gasped at once. What did you say? Boomed Taurus. Oh, I said Thanatos, but forget it. I must get to the paperclip supplier. Thanatos, said Capricorn, her horns pricked in anticipation. Where did you hear that? Oh, it was nothing. It was just the prisoner's name, sighed Virgo, as she was flicking the pages of the stationery catalogue. He's obviously not that important. He claims to be the king of the daemons, more like king of the dodos. You must be mistaken, said Pisces dismissively. Clearly, your incompetence extends to your hearing. Virgo knew she should leave well enough alone. She had escaped serious trouble, and the whole matter could now be put behind her. But being right was far more important than any of that. So, Pisces, pardon me, but my hearing is perfect, she ventured. The prisoner clearly stated his name was Thanatos. That is impossible, said the Gemini twins. Why? Said Virgo. Because, child, said Pisces, Thanatos has been dead for almost 2,000 years.